Hi everyone, my name's Rich. You're joining me on a lovely early spring morning. I'm just off to Anglia Car Auctions, so my local car auction I've been going to for years for their classic car auction. And you can see I'm going in my noble M12 GTO 3R because there's one of these in the auction. Really excited about that. I don't think I've ever seen one in a live auction before. So in this video I'll be seeing what the 3R sells for, but also having a look in detail at some really interesting cars and seeing those through the auction and seeing what they sell for. So hundreds of cars here this weekend. The cheaper end of the spectrum outside here that you can see, and then inside on the right in those kind of warehouses, the slightly more expensive cars. If you've seen my preview, there'll be lots of new and different cars that I'm adding into this video, so please do stay and watch. I'm going to land the drone now as the seagulls are trying to attack my drone. So starting with probably the pick of the E-types here. This is a 1974, it's a 5.3 V12. Looks in beautiful condition. Originally delivered to the USA, despite being right-hand drive, and came back to the UK in 1988. Owned by the current vendor since 2012, and they had it resprayed in 2014. It still looks in really good condition. 62,000 miles. It's guided at 38 to 44,000 pounds, which seems pretty sensible. For me, the big drawback, the auto box, but that's just personal preference. Looks nice in here too. And here is a Giulietta Sprint. I'm pretty sure this is the one that was in either last time or the time before. It's a 1962 left-hand drive. Spent some time in Japan where it had a upgraded engine to 1600cc. It's in really good condition, but that's how I remember it because of the time in Japan and the upgraded engine. It's guided at 30 to 35,000 pounds. The interior is top notch as well. Interesting to see if it sells this time. So here is a really interesting car. You may spot Mike Brewer driving it. There's been a lot of interest in this because it is ridiculously low mileage. So Volvo 340 GL, as you probably heard, 137 miles on the clock. You see Mike Brewer obviously featuring it for TV or YouTube as well. Just ridiculous to have such a low mileage car, guided at 5 to 7,000 pounds.
£7,600 is for the second. Gall's up we're selling it at £7,600 short. That's your.
So here is the noble M12 GTO 3R. Looks spectacular in red. It's in really good condition. So this is obviously a 3R, so it had the 3-litre V6 twin-turbo Ford Duratec engine, similar to that in the Mondeo ST220. The original GTO had a 2.5 V6, then the 3 came along, which went to a 3-litre engine, also added 6-speed box, etc. These had a track day sump, 6-speed box, some curbing on the wheels, which could easily be sorted. 350 horsepower-ish as standard. 0 to 60, if you can keep it from spinning, would be about 3.5 seconds. Ridiculous wing that does very little apparently, and the famous Mondeo rear lights. This is a nice cream interior, a little bit of wear, but nothing much. An oil gauge being put in there by the looks of it. That's not standard, I don't think. So I don't think this will do too well at auction. It could do with a respray at the front, lots of stone chips. These do terribly at auction usually. And it's pretty standard in here. Standard intercooler, this header tank's often changed, etc. Standard's not always good on a Noble. They tended to overheat both in the cabin and in terms of kind of engine, heat soak. So this is very standard. It's only 24,000 miles, obviously been well cared for. So here comes the Noble. Again, a lot of interest in this. 36 to 42,000 guide. I'll be surprised if it makes 35. Well, I'm amazed. It was straight in at something like 36. These are selling on online auctions for kind of low 30s, which is really cheap.
£39,000 looking around in the room and elsewhere. Twice. One time the enemy signal today.
I'm amazed. This isn't even a particularly good one in the sense that it hasn't got many of the desirable upgrades. Well, there you go. I was very wrong on that. Here is a lovely looking Corvette ZR1 or ZR1, I suppose. So this is 1990. Again, looks spectacular in this red. So this had the 5.7, this is a small block V8. Had the special performance pack on here. I think it had handling and styling upgrades. Looks in really, really good condition. Came to the UK in 2007. It's got 63,000 miles. Limited paperwork. Look at this, so kind of late 80s, 90s interior. I love it. Really red interior. It looks good. GRP body, of course. And these ran about 380 horsepower. So here's a 1965 Mini Countryman. I love this because it reminds me of my gran who had a brown one when I was a kid. This one is in really excellent condition by the looks of it. 1275cc, was off the road from the 1980s to 2011. Obviously been previously restored and only 38,000 miles. I think this will be a popular one. It's guided at 15 to 17,000 pounds. Probably make that, I mean, it looks absolutely lovely condition. Really nice. Another car that's making strong money recently, these Rover SD1s. Good ones of these are getting pretty expensive now. This is a 3.5 litre V8, of course. This is 5-speed manual. This was only done 50,000 miles. I mean, it is just in excellent condition. It's been enthusiast owned, and you can really tell. It's just pristine. Guided at 18 to 22,000 pounds. And I think the interior in particular is just immaculate. Really nice car. Again, these are really popular, and I think this will probably fetch that kind of money. Yeah, credit to the owner. So here's another car that's had a lot of interest from Mike Brewer today. It's a Bentley Turbo R 1988. Really interesting this because it's only 8,000 miles. One keeper from new and pretty much, well, almost unused since 2010. Very limited paperwork, but so low mileage, it's incredible. It looks good other than this leather, which you can see is speckled and stained. I presume this is some kind of discoloration through mould or something, perhaps. Maybe you can help me out. The interior looks lovely, so does the exterior. It is only this staining to the leather. I have no idea, to be honest, how easy that is to remove if you wanted to buy it. And otherwise, beautiful car with unusually low mileage. Here's the Bentley, guided at 12 to 15,000 pounds. It's a huge amount of car for your money. I love this era of Bentley. Maybe one day I'll have one when I want to throw some money down the drain with repairs.
13,000 pounds, you hung up going twice. Your buyer had taken it home at 13,000 pounds into the lot. That's yours at 13,000, gentlemen.
So this is a nice 911, 996 generation, 3.6 Carrera 4, so a slightly bigger engine. Convertible, perhaps not the best body shape if you're a purist, but these are getting cheap now, which is why I'm showing this. I think the roof didn't look great in the photos from what I remember, so have a look at that yourselves. Guided at 10 to 12,000 pounds, these 996s are getting really affordable. Unfortunately, this is Tiptronic, and these boxes weren't meant to be great pre-PDK. 106,000 miles, it's had 7.5 grand spent on it in the last couple of years. IMS bearing done at 69,000 miles. So, you know, good buy if you don't mind the automatic. And just coming in to catch this 996 911.
£8,200, no surprise, it is provisional, but £8,200 is now going once. 8-3, at 8-3, at £8,400 it is for the last time.
Yeah, that's gone really cheap, 8.4. Provisional, of course. They are so cheap now, these 996s. Land Rover Series 1, unmistakable. So this is a 1954, so a later one, perhaps slightly less desirable, perhaps 86-inch wheelbase, kind of truck cab, quite an unusual layout with a slightly longer wheelbase. Looks lovely. I really like this. I like them looking in original condition rather than tarted up. Lots of superficial rust under here, as you might expect. Owned for over 30 years. This is guided at 10 to 12,000 pounds, which, you know, I think looks pretty decent, about right. Some interesting pink seats, which I've not seen before in a Series 1. But yeah, lovely, lovely little car, this. So I've just come in to find this Series 1 getting pushed out, which I assume is why 8,640. So here's a Defender, 2005 TD5. It's a 130-inch wheelbase, high capacity, which is quite rare in itself, but obviously been done up as a Spectre car recreation, all the rope. It's got everything on this car. Scaffolding on the roof, headlights, lift kit, huge great tyres. I hate to think what these cost. It's had a lot spent on it, this. For me, these are kind of aesthetic modifications. This is chassis in great condition. It looks really well cared for and looked after under here. The modifications for me that would mean more, the Ashcroft gearbox and transfer box that have been fitted, so strengthened presumably to deal with the 180 horsepower DD5. It's been remapped. Looks really good in here as well. Cat D quite a few years ago, guided at 18 to 24,000 pounds. It's a lot of car for your money. Someone has spent a huge amount of money upgrading this and modifying it, and they won't see it back, obviously, at sale. Here we go, here comes this Spectre TD5. Looks like it's just going to make reserve, just about.
It's provisional at £18,000 for the last time. That's with you, it's now to 18,000, thank you.
So here's a bit of a contrast. This is a Singer. I don't know much about these, I have to say. I just feature it because it looks absolutely beautiful. It's a Singer 4AB Roadster. 1952. There's something about these vintage cars. Paintwork's exceptional in this green. This era of car just has a beauty that you just don't get anymore. I've actually come to see this Land Cruiser. This is an FJ43 platform car, 1972. Spent most of its life in Kenya, came to the UK in 2008, and it's had 2 UK keepers. It looks in really nice condition. These are pretty rare and actually fetch pretty good money nowadays. This one's guided at 12 to 15,000 pounds. I think someone will snap that up at that price. Yeah, looks really nice. Such an iconic design. I'm a Land Rover fan, but I would love one of these as well. Here's the Land Cruiser coming in. And trying to start at 10,000, but not getting any bids on this. I'm amazed. I thought this would be popular. I love this Unimog, 1973, obviously left-hand drive. I almost bought it on Unimog at an auction a few years ago. Stupid, I know, but I just love these, particularly this era, the kind of early 70s ones. Looks in excellent condition, bit of a hole in the exhaust pipe, but look at this chassis, and everything looks great under here. Apparently fully restored by a Unimog specialist 12 years ago. And obviously, I'd imagine this is something that's largely shown or used for fun. It's clearly not a working beast any longer. Looks really nice. I would love this. If money wasn't an object, I'd have this in a jiffy. Beautiful. And of course, there's very little that can beat these off-road. I mean, they're just incredible. Go anywhere, such high ground clearance. Looks lovely in here as well. If you're not used to them, pretty complicated controls. I can see this one is very well labelled. Obviously front and rear PTOs here. And all these levers must take a bit of getting used to. Well, this is a lottery win type car for me. Yeah, maybe one day. Yeah, it looks really lovely. You can tell it's obviously been well looked after since its restoration as well. And this is guided at £14,000 to £16,000. Here comes the Unimog. Well, this is struggling. It's not anywhere near the guide price, really. I thought that, again, this would be quite popular. It's really rare to see them come up. So here's a TVR, obviously, a CHIMAERA 450. So there's another CHIMAERA 4 litre in the auction. Unfortunately, you can never see the chassis on these, but I checked it out on the MOT history and it did note corrosion in the last MOT. That's enough to put me off what is otherwise an exceptionally good car, I think. The paintwork is perfect. There's a tiny bit of scratching. These do get scratches when they are put down, these hoods, but I mean the hood looks excellent. 4.5 litre V8 in these, of course. Door opens under the wing mirrors, of course, but this is beautiful. I mean, this interior is lovely. The exterior looks great as well. It says it's retrimmed and repainted in 2013. I mean, it still looks in really nice condition. I've seen so many ropey TVRs over the last couple of years in auctions. This is a nice change. Really, really good condition. 43,000 miles. It's got a good history. 10 to 12,000 pounds. I don't think you'll find much better than this. Of course, the chassis is always a risk, and I can't see under very well here. But yeah, this is excellent. And then you'll probably see in the background the ubiquitous Series 1 RS Turbo. This was actually bought from ACA auctions less than a year ago after it had been recommissioned, so I probably saw this go through last August. Apparently it had just been recommissioned for the auction and needed a little bit more doing to it. It's not been used since the owner bought it from the auction, so it may still require a little bit of work. Guided at 12 to 14,000 pounds. You know, very good ones of these. Obviously, I think I saw one last couple of weeks go for like 50 grand or something. This is obviously, you know, well used. It's slightly rough around the edges. Nothing particularly bad, I don't think. But you can see the front here, it's fairly untidy, I would say. Well loved, I think, is the phrase. Yeah, I don't know whether there's major issues. Most of what I'm pointing out is obviously just cosmetic, a bit of bubbling paint, etc. So an Aston Martin Lagonda. This has to be one of the most distinctively shaped cars ever produced. This is a really late one, I think it's 1990, so Mark IV, these had the 5.2 engine. Of course this is a four-seater, what do you call it, a Grand Tourer? So a big four-seater as well, a really un-Aston Martin car, big size boot there as well. Apparently it's running and driving with minor faults. Quite what that means I don't know. Apologies again for it's very dark inside here. Huge great thing though. And apparently it is largely rust free, so that makes me slightly nervous as well of what you might see underneath. Huge amount of legroom, very fluffy red carpets and a rear sunroof. It's an awesome car, but 55 to 65,000 sounds a lot of money, doesn't it? Jaguar XK150, this one is guided at 35 to 45,000 pounds. So 1959, obviously a fixed head coupe, only had 2 keepers. And it's only done 3,000 miles in the last 12 years. Obviously much loved, but it does require a little bit of recommissioning. It's not perfect, you know, paintwork, etc. Really unusual colour. Looks beautiful, but it's sensibly guided for a car that needs a little bit of work. TLC, I guess. Always a soft spot for these. Yeah, just minor blemishes you can see. And then this Bentley AZURE looks really stunning. It's huge. Yeah, looks beautiful, I have to say. This is 1996, so this is Pininfarina designed. They effectively converted the Continental R platform to this four-seater Tourer. Obviously convertible. I think these were produced in relatively low numbers. They had the 6.75 turbo V8. It's got loads of history. 80,000 miles, had about 5.5 grand spent on it doing some paint work, some servicing, etc. Last year. It is guided at 45 to 55,000 pounds, so look at it in here, lovely. It's a lot of money compared with other Bentleys of this era. I suppose you're paying for the rarity here. So here's an interesting car, a 1988 Metro VANDEN PLAS. So apparently the only one made in this blackberry colour. So really interesting. It's quite a car because it's had the 1275cc engine, sorry. It's only had 2 owners and it has only done 7,000 miles. Consequently, it's in pretty much as new condition. I mean, look at it in here. And guided at 12 to 14,000 pounds. You know, I see these kind of modern classics, ultra low mileage ones like this going for really good money at auctions, so this could sell well. And then another ubiquitous car, the Cosy. This is a 1987 Sierra Cosworth. I think it's fairly, again, well loved. It's got a recent service checked by Graham Good, obviously famous Graham Good Racing, who's apparently said it's in good original condition. You know, the paintwork's tired, there's quite a lot of blemishes, etc. I'm not saying there's anything particularly wrong with it, it's just not a concours car. Some of these that you see are just pristine. This is guided at 65 to 75,000 pounds. I can't see it making top end, just because there's some really nice examples, and those are the ones that are fetching nearer to 80 grand, I would say. But I'm no expert, and I could be wrong. You know, it's just small things. It's, you know, obviously here. Yeah, you can't see on the camera very well, but just some minor blemishes, etc. Looks pretty decent in here, though. Yeah, nice inside. So onto this E36 M3 Evolution. This is a 1988, very yellow. So good ones of these E36s are now making more than the E46s, the later generation M3. Has this been lowered? It looks pretty low, especially the rear. Let me know what you think. Yeah, I'm not sure that's perfect. The rear, it's got very little history, 130,000 miles, but it's no reserve. So I expect someone will snap this up. The paintwork you can probably see is not great. Aston Martin DB9, there's a couple of nice Vantages here, but I'm featuring this DB9 because it is really beautiful, in part because of the colour and secondly because of the condition and the low mileage. So only 24,000 miles, so 2006. There's obviously the 5.9 V12 in here. It's Touchtronic, unfortunately. I think there's a manual V8 Vantage. But this is just in stunning condition. The roof looks top notch. Paintwork looks excellent. Yeah, rare colour. I love this interior as well. I think it would be a bit much to have that kind of reddish leather everywhere. This is a really nice balance. Beautiful. And 12 services, guided at 26 to 28. You know, you can get very cheap DB9s now. I think that's a fair price given the low miles. So a couple of Aston Martin Vantages here, both V8s. I think this is the pick for me, clearly because it's a manual. So it's a fairly early one, 2006, which means it has the 4.2 engine. Not necessarily the best, lacked a bit of torque in many people's opinion. Some minor paintwork issues, I think these could all be rectified. Otherwise, very good condition. It's only 49,000 miles and 21 service stamps. I don't think you'll find another one like this. It's guided at 20 to 24,000. I think this could be a really good buy. Here's the Aston. This is really cheap. I think this is an excellent buy. Considering the service history on this. This is a TD5, and at first glance it looks a bit crappy. There's lots of kind of aluminium corrosion and rust at the back here. I suspect that checker plating is covering some rusty door bottoms, the usual tricks. But then you come around the back and yes, there's rust here, and you know, this looks messy, but it's got obviously a galvanised rear cross member. And then I realised it's got a fully galvanised chassis. So these rag tops always seem to fetch good money. And I like this. I like them rough around the edges. As long as they're structurally sound, you can see obviously a Richard chassis here. Fully galvanised chassis. So what's this? 11 to 13,000 pounds. 1999 TD5. You know, it sounds quite a lot, but these do fetch decent money. As I say, although it's slightly tatty around the edges, it looks structurally sound. Footwells look decent. It's had some nice upgrades in the central console here and the comfortable seats. Yeah, so this could be a good one to get. The gal chassis is worth so much. And then here's the cheaper end of the spectrum. So this is a 300 TDI, 1995. Obviously an ex kind of utility type vehicle. I think that's not rusty bulkhead, just the hinges. And these are great value because they're just not very desirable. So it's kind of property spec seats, not meaning to be rude. And obviously this is ex utility, so it's nothing in the back. It was boarded out, probably had some other shelving or whatever in the back before. I don't think the footwells looking from the other side are particularly great. Sorry, I can't see very well here. We'll go round and see from the other side. You can see the rust, and on that outrigger, you know, it's okay, it's fairly rusty, but seen worse. The rear cross member looks surprisingly good given the state of those outriggers. So 300 TDI engine, virtually bulletproof. I mean, this is guided at £4,000 to £6,000. I reckon that's a good buy at that price. 211,000 miles, but the 300 TDI goes on and on. You know, if you want a cheap and cheerful Land Rover Defender, I don't think you can go far wrong. So just walking past this Fiesta Mark II, I learnt to drive in one of these. I noticed it's left-hand drive, and I think this has been in a couple of auctions ago. If I see a dent down this side, there you go, dent in the door. I think this is coming back in or unsold. I came to see this Nissan STAGEA, interesting car, very bizarre looking, I always think, very JDM. Huge, bulky back here, massive, great boxy car. There was at this time they had, I don't know if this really is the GTR, so I think they had the R33 Skyline drivetrain in the top of the range, so they were four-wheel drive with a 2.5 litre turbo engine, same as I say drivetrain as the R33. I'm not sure if this one really is that, or whether it's just badged like that. Lovely interior, I have to say, held back by being automatic. But these were around at the same time as the Mitsubishi Legnum VR4 in the late 90s, and I almost got those. Windscreen damage, it needs a new windscreen. It seems to have had no MOT since 2021, lots of paintwork issues. It was only imported in 2015. It's guided at 3,000 to 4,000. I'm not knowledgeable enough to tell you if this is really the GTR version, but if it is, you know, you don't mind doing a bit of work, that seems decent value. Here's another one I think is amazing value. So this is, what's this, E63 era BMW 7 Series. This one's 2002 745i. So I owned a slightly later 750, so same generation but 750i. It's just such a huge amount of car for your money. This one looks in really nice condition. Sorry, it's not parked very well to show you, but apparently had 22 grand's worth of options back in 2002, which is just insane, really. So really well spec'd. iDrive system on these is catastrophically bad, I would say, but no reserve. This is a lot of car for your money. You know, if this goes kind of 3 grand or less, it's a great buy, I would say. I expected to go for a bit more than that, nearer 5 maybe. And then this was the 911 that I was thinking might be my first 911. It's another 996 C4 Carrera 4, so 3.6 engine. This has £22,000 worth of invoices. Had an engine rebuild. It's a manual. But this leather, look at that leather. It's really badly marked. It looks tired in here, I think it's fair to say. Had a full engine rebuild by Hartech in 2012, so presumably doesn't have the IMS or bore score issues, one would assume. 108,000 miles, but there's this corrosion on the arches. I think it's enough to put me off. So 1995 Defender 90 here with a V8 engine in, so it's 4 litre V8. Looks in kind of average condition under there. Yeah, the usual kind of rust, nothing too bad by the looks of it. Interesting car though. It's left-hand drive, had a roll cage added in Dubai, came to UK in 2017 where it had 12 grand upgrading it to this auto box, 142,000 miles. So here's that V8 Land Rover, guided at 18 to 22,000. I think it's extremely steep. No, and that's not selling. So C3 Corvette, as you might know, I love these cars. One of the few American cars I really love. Such a nice look. Paintwork on this looks lovely. 1960, this has got a 5.7 small block engine. Came to the UK in 1992. Very black in there, so but I can tell you it looks good. And then I wouldn't usually feature these Morris Travellers. So many are in really ropey condition, rusting away and the wood looking awful. This is a 1970, had loads spent on it and is probably the best one I've ever seen pretty much. Really, really good condition. Guided at 8 to 10,000 pounds. It's next to a 1981 Mark I Ford Fiesta XR2, only 18,000 miles. It's had a suspension upgrade and also an engine upgrade to a 1.7 cross-flow. So this is interesting. So low miles, looks really, really good condition. Guided at 14 to 16,000. I expect it'll easily make that. Interesting to know if the non-original engine will devalue it at all though. I suspect not much on a car like this. The interior is excellent, as you can see. Really nice car. It's like an upgraded exhaust as well. It's rather dark back here, so just a quick look at this Ford Capri. It's a 2.8 injection. One of the most desirable. It's owned for 11 years, had lots spent on it, 64,000 miles, which isn't that high for these. It's guided at 10 to 12,000, which looks a very sensible guide price to me. And here's an XR4i. 1984, these were 2.8 obviously. 72,000 miles. It's not got a lot of history. Low number of keepers, guided at 8 to 10,000. I expect it'll make that pretty popular, these. And next to a very yellow JENSEN Interceptor, as you can see. This has got the bigger engine, the 7.2 V8. 54,000 miles. Again, another really good looking car in excellent condition. I have to say it's better condition than the other Interceptor that's here. It's been in a collection for the last 12 years, guided at 28 to 30,000 pounds. I've seen them go a lot cheaper than this, but perhaps not in as good condition, so that seems fairly sensible guided. So this is a 1.1 Fiesta, a late Mark 1 1983, only 44,000 miles and 2 owners. It's got an excellent history and is in superb condition. Guided at 6 to 8,000. It's amazing what these kind of low mileage, what I call bog standard type cars are fetching nowadays. Yeah, really nice car. And next to a 1.9 CTI 205, if you don't fancy the GTI. Again, nice looking car this. I just had to have a quick look at this Buick, because this era American cars are just ridiculous. Look at this. So blue and so vast. It's a 1958 Buick Special. Came to the UK in 2016 and restored. Runs a 5.7 V8. Absolutely enormous. This is a Mark IV Golf R32. Arches look pretty good on this. It's a real weak point for this era Golf. It's obviously lowered aftermarket suspension. These were the 3.2 V6 of course, about 240 horsepower I think, and then a Haldex 4-wheel drive system, so pretty quick, especially for back in the day. 80,000 miles, which is actually fairly low for one of these. Got some history. I expect this will be popular, guided at 8 to 10,000 pounds, which again seems pretty sensible. I think aftermarket exhaust as well. Good looking car. And here is the R32. It's had a lot of interest. So here's another E-Type. This one is a 1968 4.2 left-hand drive. and came back from Canada in 2018. It was restored in 1990. According to the paperwork, needs some kind of bits and bobs done, I think minor things to get it running properly. 48,000 miles only. Here's the other Jensen. This is left-hand drive from the USA, 1974. Came to the UK in 2017. It's a little bit tatty, there's a few dinks in the door and stuff. The other one was in better condition. This one's guided at 25 to 28. But the interior is brilliant, I love it. Look at that. Yeah, a few more dinks, you can see a bit of rust and dink on the bonnet. I think I'd probably take the other one. Although I do prefer this colour. Here's the Jensen. Yeah, it's way off the guide price. I'm not surprised. The condition of this just isn't good enough to fetch that money, I don't think. So Sapphire COSWORTH here, 1989. Paintwork's average, nothing terrible. Could easily be sorted. 66,000 miles, but very little paperwork or anything else about it, to be honest. Guided at 22 to 26. Yeah, you see this paintwork's not great. That sounds about right for one that was perhaps in slightly better condition. I'm not convinced it'll sell for that though. Looks okay in here. Other than this issue, which is a missing bit of dash, which you can see may put people off. So here is an Audi S4. This is a B8 S4 supercharged V6 3 litre. These are what 300 horsepower standard. I had one of these actually, estate manual, tuned to about just under 500 horsepower. Really good car. This one is the S-tronic, and I would not touch this with a barge pole. Mechatronic unit failures left, right and centre with these. I don't trust this S-tronic gearbox one bit. It says it's had a gearbox service. It's only done 52,000 miles. It hasn't got the important adjustable suspension, which I really liked, so probably hasn't got a sports diff either. I wish I hadn't sold mine. It was rare as hen's teeth. Guided at 8 to 10,000. I think it's a risk though with that S-tronic box. Lots of Defenders here today. This is a 1988, which I guess actually means it's not a Defender, but 90. I think the Defender name only came in 1990. Upgraded lights and front. Underneath looks fairly decent for the age. Resprayed in 2017 and still looks very good for it. 141,000 miles, guided 7 to 9. Here is a much newer one, 2015, so one of the last years of production. 2.2 Puma engine. It's an XS, so top of the range, but pretty rusty under here actually. I'm surprised. It was off the road 2022 to 25, 82,000 miles. Yeah, footwells and outriggers, not looking great. Guided at 23 to 26. Personally, I think that's fairly steep. White's never a popular colour in these either. But, you know, a much better one is going to cost you much more money as well. Amazing what these cost now, to be honest. Pretty awesome looking Peugeot van. But I came to see this Land Rover Series 2 just out of interest. This is a 2A, sorry. I have a Series 2. This is 1970. Owned since year 2000, it's looking a little bit worse for wear. I think it's fair to say. It's running the standard 2.25 petrol. Obviously, bulkhead here, not looking great. I mean, the paintwork is superficial. I wouldn't worry too much about that, but it's got some pretty major rust issues, I think. As you can see, it's no reserve. So for Someone brave or an enthusiast, you know, I guess outrigger's fairly easy to replace, but yeah. So over to this Subaru Impreza. This is an RB5, so it's a 1999. This was a kind of Richard Burns special, so it's a Turbo 2000 special edition, effectively. Now this wing, I think, wouldn't have come with this. Isn't that off a Bug-Eye? Help me out if you're a knowledgeable Scooby person. Interior looks very good. It's 67,000 miles and 16 stamps. But it's guided at 15 to 18,000. That seems really strong money for what is a glorified Turbo 2000. It's got some paintwork issues, and it's been off the road by the looks of it. Its MOT expired in 2023. I think that's too strong money for this. This is a Bentley Arnage red label with some fairly tired looking headlamps, and the paintwork probably won't come out on camera. It's just very dull. It looks very unloved. 2001, so this of course had the 6.75 V8. MOT expired in 2024, very little paperwork with it. It's only 54,000 miles. It just looks generally tired. I think, given the, yeah, look at that paintwork, it's not good. I can't see how this is going to make 10 to 12 when you can find pretty well looked after and good condition cars for that kind of money, or a bit more maybe. Inside looks good, however. But I can't see this selling. That paintwork alone is enough to put most people off, I think. So here's the CLK 63. Very few of these made with convertible M156 engine, 6.2 legendary AMG engine. And it looks fairly good condition. Rear tyres predictably low with an AMG. Yeah, the owners only had it since I think December 24, which made me a bit nervous about this. It's an engine I've not owned and really want to own. I miss my AMG, and so I was kind of tempted by this. It's not my first choice of car, CLK though, for sure. Discs are a little low. It's guided, I think, 16 to 18, which seems fair. And here is the CLK 63. It's struggling a bit. Yeah. So here's an Astra, Vauxhall Astra GTE. It's a 1991 8-valve, 84,000 miles. It's got some areas that aren't looking too good, to be honest. Very little paperwork with it. 4 keepers, but no reserve. The good ones of these are fetching, what, mid-teens maybe, so you could pick up a bargain here. Looks much better condition inside, I have to say, so potential bargain here. So this is Sunbeam Alpine. It's a Series 2, 1961. Yeah, it's rough around the edges, I think I'd call it. It's been recommissioned and had an engine rebuild costing £9,000 in recent years. So it's had quite a lot of money chucked at it, but you know, it is scruffy, I think, without meaning to sound rude. Guided at £4,000 to £6,000, which, to be fair, seems very cheap for one of these. You know, good ones are pretty expensive now. So although it's not in best condition, I think it's a very fair guide price. Just needs a little love. Inside looks much better. So I came to see this Opel Manta GTE in 1985, owned since 1989. These are cool cars, I love the design. In places, it's again slightly tatty around the edges, but by all accounts a brilliant handling car, and I love this interior. Guided at £5,000 to £7,000, it seems like a pretty good buy at that price, despite the rust. It looks like everything could be sorted on it. Just a quick glance at this BMW, it's an E30 320i Cabriolet. They go for really good money, even this, what I'd term, relatively lowly 320i. It's guided at £3,500 to £4,500. I think that's a steal if it goes for that price. Again, love this interior. Something about these late 80s and early 90s interiors that just appeal to me, I think. And then a very interesting Cortina, so Mark I Cortina Estate, 1965. Apparently GT spec with a 1500cc engine, gearbox and back axle. Again, it's another slightly tatty car. It won't come out on camera, but the paintwork's not great. Could obviously be rectified, but at a cost, obviously. Had some recent new parts, but not really much with this car in terms of paperwork. Looks very nice inside though. Guided at £7,000 to £9,000. So here's a Jag, what's this, X308 era. It's the 3.2, so the small V8 they did. Looks pretty good, no rust obvious around the arches. No reserve. It's been really well serviced. Looks good condition here, had new headlining. I reckon this could be an absolute steal at no reserve. You get so much for your money. And it wouldn't be an auction without an E46 M3. This is a convertible, 2004 with hard top, owned since 2014. Owners apparently put new front wings on it, strengthened the rear-subframe, had the Vanos and rod bearings done and a remap. 117,000 miles, guided at 9,000 to 11,000. It'll make that all day. Auto box though, which would put me straight off. Just personal preference, but you know, these will easily make 10 grand. And here's a 1975 W115 Mercedes 230, so a 2.3 engine, owned for 13 years. I love this era Mercedes as well. Guided at £9,000 to £11,000. And another car I think you get a huge amount for your money, a 645i. I still think these look like they cost a lot. This is guided at £3,000 to £4,000. I mean, alloys need a refurb. 4.4 V8 engine in it, of course, just like the 745i we saw. It's still pretty modern inside. This is 2004. You know, I think again this is a steal.